Like we're going out, all in one bathroom, trying to get ready to go out. You need to give a tutorial itself
on how to set up your bag. It's on TikTok, but
no, I don't think it was on TikTok when I got my bag. You got a lot more lip in here than I thought I did.
You got more. Listen, I'm about to use your lip
for days.
I'm like, you got a lip? No, I don't got a lip. You got a lot of lips. Okay, look at me with my one little lip. Okay, all right.
Yeah.
Tell me the story of how we met, because honestly, I don't even remember.
It's a wonder that I remember because my memory is terrible. No, but we were part of that women's business group.
What women?
It was so laid back. It was at somebody's apartment, and we used like their clubhouse or something like that.
Wait, take me back. I don't even remember.
Us like uptown group.
When was that?
I'm gonna say was it 2019?
Was I pregnant?
No, you had Kai already. She was like maybe walking.
Okay.
She was little, but
Who
she was
the
walking.
organizer?
I can't remember. She has like a shop with a lot of like vitamins and supplements. She's pregnant. I don't even remember her name. We had the girl who does the she orgasms. Do you know?
Yes.
Her?
Yes. It's all coming.
And it was really laid back. We were in somebody's apartment.
Yeah.
I think she invited me to come. I think that's how that exchange happened. I'm not really sure how I got there. I don't recall signing up for anything. So somebody had reached out to me and said, "Hey, this might be good for you."
This is a great segue on this. This is a good. See, Lord, you know exactly what you're doing when you're doing this. So listen to this. So Musa Moon is more of a spiritual store. And how I got there was one of my friends took me there to do the rituals, like the full moon rituals. Mm-hmm. At that point, I was pregnant. I was kind of like, I just had Kaimani, and I'm like, you know what, I gotta do something. And I don't know why in my spirit I wasn't going and leading back to the Lord. I just thought, okay, let me try something new at that point. And it just put me into the crystal mindset, crystals and healing and spiritual, instead of leading back to the Lord. So that's crazy that's how we connected. Cause you weren't at the moon ritual.
No.
And then now look at our journey on like finding God.
Right. At the same time. Isn't that crazy? And the way we've kept contact really has been, I guess, kind of just support of one another.
Yeah.
Because when I had my nonprofit's prom event, you donated your services.
Yes.
Then I recommended you for my brother's and sister-in-law's wedding, so you were the makeup artist for that.
Yep.
And then
I'm just doing my face.
Okay, and I guess really just liking each other's posts, just kind of staying in contact that way.
Yeah.
And then
I really was over here like, how did we meet?
And then not only that, so I think I'm skipping the most important part for me, because I think we both have recognized now that we were in the wilderness, child. And then I posted on Instagram that me and my girls had went to go see Sarah Jakes here in Charlotte.
Okay, that's your most important.
That's for me, that was the connection, because I felt like there had been something. I don't know what it was for me, that something was there, because I was at the place where I did not want to talk to anybody that knew me about what I had going on. So let me talk to an outside source. And so for somebody to like, one, you're a believer, because I see you at Sarah's thing, and we're talking about how phenomenal it was and how much it impacted us. So it just made me feel there was something, and I remember saying that in the message. And I probably have to go back and listen to it, because it was all on Instagram.
That was powerful.
So I'm sure it's still there. So it was just like me saying, girl, I'm glad you were there. It hit me this way. But then as I was talking, I felt something in my spirit. Like, it was like, I would love for us, because we kept saying we need to get together, because you also did my makeup for my 40th birthday for my photo shoot for that.
Yeah.
So again, still staying in contact, but when at that point it was something in me. It was just like, gosh, we've had this connection. I see she's here. I feel vulnerable enough to be able to talk to her and get feedback, where I feel like she's somebody that wouldn't be judgy about what I've got going on, but I just there's this thing in me, and I have to get it out and talk to somebody.
Okay.
I knew
and you
I
felt
couldn't
that you
help
didn't
it.
have.
I knew I have support. My support is wonderful. However, you get used to the support you've had for a very long time, and you know the history of it sometimes, or maybe you just don't feel as comfortable because maybe once upon a time we were judgmental. I'm not going to say they. I'm going to say we, because I've been in that place too, and sometimes as you get older and you have newer relationships with people, you just feel so much more comfortable in those relationships. You know what I mean? And so that's kind of how it was for me, because it's not like I didn't have a therapist. It's not like I don't have parents. It's not like I don't have friends. I had people that I could absolutely go to, but I think the thing that I was dealing with for me was embarrassment and shame. And so it's like,
because they already knew your past.
Yeah, and I think the thing was, for me, it was always talking about how great this situation was, and then now it's like, oh, this situation in some aspects is just like what you done had in the past before.
Okay.
So, but and I think that's even given more life to what it really was. It was just sincerely something in me that said you could be vulnerable with Shahara. And so as I'm saying this message to you, like, let's get together, let's talk, my voice is starting to crack, and I feel like I can talk about this thing,
Yeah.
And so I think for me, it was just that important, because then we had that connection and kept saying we need to get together. And then really the only thing was like you doing Layla's makeup for a prom.
Yeah.
And then we just start flowing.
Yeah.
Like it just was like, bleh.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's that. And then here we are.
Yeah. I'm going to say,
with a bunch of other stuff in between to get to here today.
I'm going to go real quick in between while you do your face.
All right.
So in between, I would say the pivotal point
You
is
using the mirror, so I'm gonna just turn
no,
this
yeah,
one this
yeah,
way.
turn it. So the pivotal point for me, I think, in our relationship was the day that I went to go do your makeup, and you looked at me, and I kind of looked at you, and not to get very personal, but it was a conversation that we had. And after that conversation of doing your, you were like, you know what? We need to get together. We need to hang out. You were going through transitions between you and your girlfriends, and just transitions in life. I was transitioning. I was doing a lot. And that was that conversation. I was like, you know what? And it was always in the back of my mind where, I don't know why I forgot how we met. And I was like, well, she's a client. I don't want to start something with a client, because I have in the past, and sometimes that doesn't work out,
right?
But God's timing, again, I feel like we set the tone then we were following each other, like you said,
yeah.
And then the Sarah Drake's really hit it off, yeah, it went off
because there was a common bond there, and we experienced some of the same. I won't say we experienced the Holy Spirit the exact same way, but it was in the atmosphere. I'll say it like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I do believe that, because that message. I mean, I was sitting on the couch and I was like, I'm in tears. I am in tears of just what? And when you're down in a certain point in your life and someone messages you, I can't even explain the words that Chantel said, but it was powerful. It was impactful and just enlightening to me, because I was just like, when you're at 0% and someone sends you something that you inspire me,
right?
And you and like I feel like it was the word safe. It was the word safe. Like, I feel safe with you. I was like, someone feels safe with me? Like, me? I don't even feel safe right now. But and I'm like, oh yeah, it just hit, and I was like, yeah. And now, going back to the story, now it's like, now it makes everything better, in my opinion, because I'm like, she was never a client. She was always a friend. Mm-hmm. She was always someone that we met at a business mastermind.
Like you've done my makeup twice and done Layla's makeup twice. So I mean, kind of a client, I don't know.
Yeah. But this is another reference of how God puts two people together when they're supposed to be together.
Because even with my brother's wedding, we were talking and it was just like, okay, we need to move on. Like, the next person needs their makeup done. Y'all can't be sitting here.
Layla was over us. And that was just recently. She was like,
over us.
I have to get to prom.
Right.
And y'all talking. So y'all can do that on your
for the
own
wedding,
time.
it was like that. We got other people that we got to get, we were going. And it's like, other people got to get their makeup done.
Chanel was like, no, I'm going to sit here.
Right, because this is my girl. I know her. This is my girl. I don't
get all this time. Huh? I don't get all this time. And now it's like every day, like we're sharing scriptures with each other. We're, what you read, what you've been reading.
Like, girl, even like this was downloaded into me, and let me tell you what was said.
Right. So at this point, even now catching up on, now I remember how we met. I'm over here like, how can you forget that? I forget so many things sometimes. I'm like, how did I forget that pivotal point? That's a big
of how we met.
Yeah, and then the whole time you're telling me, oh yeah, Kai was this small. Yes, because you used to see Kai all the time.
And I'm not sure how many times that I don't even know how long that whole thing lasted.
I don't know, but it was really
it felt brief.
It did, but it was very beneficial for my business. Yeah. I'm not even gonna lie. Like there was things that, even connecting with the girls, getting certain software, it was really, really nice to have that. Mm-hmm. And then even that within itself, because in the beginning of my makeup journey, having e-groups and then having the mastermind, and that was that after COVID or before COVID?
I felt like I'm gonna say before COVID.
I want to say, yeah,
because we wouldn't have been able to get together the way that we did,
right? But then COVID happened. So
COVID happened the year after. It was like the summertime. It was like June, July that we were doing that, and then COVID happened. So then it was 19. It was in 2019.
Yep.
COVID was 2020.
Yup. Wow. So then now this, and then having fellowship. I missed fellowshipping. I missed and let me backtrack some, because going back to spirituality, having spirituality, going through my transition now. So now we went from 2019, we had COVID, 2020, we're living life still, we're going, and then now we're in 2023 and life has shifted again. Now we're all, as what me and Chantel always say, we're in this like wilderness season. Yes, right. I think we're out of it. We are at the finish line. Like now that I'm like,
I would agree. I looked at you just a minute ago. I was like, no, girl. But no, after, and I usually don't share when I fast. I've learned that's something that is pretty sacred that you keep to yourself, because that's a time for you and God.
Okay.
And to hear from Him. But just being transparent, I've been doing a fast for a week now. 4 weeks. I only set out to do 7 days, and so. I think that's the thing that has been revealed to me, that in this time that to say, yeah, I'm out of the wilderness. I think I'm at the finish line. And I was hoping, because you always think you'll get the answer or you'll know how to move next while you're in the midst of it all. But that's not how this has happened at all for me, at all. For me, it has totally been, I had to get close to the finish line in order to really understand what's next. Versus getting it all. He wanted me to feel all the yuckiness, the madness, the craziness, the anger, the anxiety, all of those things. And I don't know when I feel like the light bulb moment has like happened during the fast. And I already knew I needed to do the fast. I already knew. So it was just a matter of doing it. It's done now, or almost done. And I've had most of the revelations come out of the at the end of the fast, which I guess that's how it works anyways, versus being in the wilderness and not fasting and not knowing. You gotta go through all the mess.
So you did get something out of it. It may not have been what you wanted, but it was what God wanted for it.
What was intended. Oh yeah,
right.
Absolutely. Now I will say, my thing has been, and I heard a very good teaching just the other day about hearing your voice or hearing God's voice versus your thoughts. And it was so good because all of this time I had been thinking that hearing from God could come in a number of ways. Like he speaks to us in a number of ways. Something might flash up on your screen and that could be, something there, or it could be something that you read and it's like, oh no. And what I learned is like, that's not hearing God's voice at all. Those are your thoughts. That's you interpreting what it is that you think he is saying. You will hear him. And I learned that, honestly, I learned that through you. You had told me, God told me not to go do this thing here. And I was like, well, how did you hear him? How did it happen? And you was like, in my ear? What do you mean? What do you mean? And I'm like, well, how? Because in my mind, all of this time, it's like, oh, I read something and this is what it's telling me to do. Or somebody said something and ding. And it was like, no, that is the flesh talking. That is your thoughts talking. That is you internalize or interpreting something that maybe you want for it to be, or maybe not. And the thing about hearing God's voice is that it's always going to take you right back to the word. And his word never contradicts itself. Never ever contradicts itself. With us, we'll go back and forth trying to make a decision. Should I do this? Should I not? God does not. He doesn't waffle. He will tell you what it is. And so it is us that's doing the back and forth, not really understanding that that's not his voice. That's our voice. That's our thoughts. It could be the devil. It really could. It could be. Right.
So when did you say, okay, I heard it?
I haven't.
Okay.
I haven't heard it yet. Okay. But I now know what to look for.
But that's the discernment, and he'll give you that first before he gives you his voice.
Because you have to have the wisdom, and in order to have the wisdom, you have to know the word.
And going back to the word, that's it. I have nothing else to say. I have nothing else to say, because then when you know the word, you'll hear his voice.
You'll hear his voice. So either I don't know the word enough yet, or I need to just spend more time in it. It's not even knowing it enough. It's spending a lot more time in it.
I think it's number 2 too. I think, yeah. And that goes for me too. I don't know it enough too. I just, when I told you that, and I said, it was literally like he was exactly where you are right now. And he was like, did I tell you to do that? Like how you're talking right now, I was just like this. And if you were to say something to me right now, it would go that, and that's exactly the vibration that it was. But when you're a part of the world, you're only going to hear the worldly things, and your ears are like closed like this. So you can't, God's talking, he's talking like this.
Yeah.
He's talking to you, but you can't hear it.
Oh,
So
he's
then-
been talking. He said it. You're not rooted in the word enough to know that it's him speaking to you.
So I hear it all the time online, like, how did you hear God? How did you hear God? You're not reading the Bible.
Mm-hmm.
The more you read the Bible,
more you will have
the more you'll hear his voice.
Yeah.
So like, even with this, looking at this, no, go back to the word. Yes. When the revelation comes, the aha comes, it's like the Chantel and Shahara were right.
Mm-hmm.
The more I read, I can listen to the podcast, I can watch the video, but the more I'm in the word, the more he's gonna come alive, the more he's gonna talk to you.
Right. That's it right there.
I love that you said that, because that's it. This whole time I'm like, how do you tell somebody how to hear God? And that is it. Because even when he tells you certain things, you're gonna one day read it too.
Yeah. It should always take you back to the word, no matter what. I remember, who was it that said it? They spoke about prophecy and how much in prophecy that it should come from a place of love. It should come from a place of peace. And talking about also these false prophets out here might condemn you and it's rah, rah, rah in your face and you shouldn't this. And that is not how God speaks to us at all. And so real prophecy, somebody coming to you and speaking unto you should also sound like God's voice, you know?
I think God comes through love, and maybe I just speak with love, and I love so much, like the real love, like the I'ma be there for you. I don't know. Love is just an action for me versus like a feeling for me.
Right.
And so when I heard, certain pastors say like, this is how he spoke to me, I'm like, why would he do that?
Right.
He doesn't cuss in the Bible.
Right. So why would he cuss at me?
Why would he cuss at you?
In speaking to me.
Right. That's not in the word. That's not the Bible. Like, and cussing is a whole other topic within itself. You already know that because we already discussed that today. But maybe we won't get into it. Maybe we will. We're just going to leave what the Spirit wants us to leave with. But that's just what went in my head. I'm like, hold on. If it's not in the Bible, then I don't know. That's not from God if it's not in the Bible.
That's simple.
Like, that simple. Because like what you just said, if he's going to talk to you, he's going to put it back into the Bible.
Right.
He's going to put it back into the word. That's how you're going to hear him more. So that means he's not going to cuss at you. You're talking to yourself at that point. You didn't get that revelation from God.
Nope. And that's when we got to really...
That's where the discernment, but that's what you said.
Right.
I may not know and I may not have heard. I didn't hear it, and I haven't heard him because I need to grow more and have more of the discernment.
Yep. And I feel like I've gotten an answer, but I have not heard him in that. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Is this again me?
So you have not moved in any decision either because you have not heard.
And I refuse to move.
And
that's one thing I learned about this entire process. Like, just be still. Be still in this time. Be still. Know that I am God.
And that is back in the Word.
And that's back in the Word.
that's back in the Bible.
It's that simple. It is that simple. So yeah. So I've learned that in this process, and it makes me think about any other thing that I do now. It makes me think about, well, did I ask God for this thing? And when I asked him, did I really hear him? Because we don't take enough time to sit in the things that are the things that we want. And even some things that just kind of stumble upon us. Like if something just kind of came up, like, God, is this in the plan? Do you really have this for me? And are you taking the time to sit and think? If it is for you, are you taking time to think or to sit and listen for him to guide you? Because his voice is always going to guide us. We force things. He's going to lead us too. He's going to lead us too. And then we act then, not before then. we act after we have heard from him.
I just got something. I just thought about parents, because we say our Father, but like we were talking about earlier today, the Lord is our Father. He is our creator. Like, just how we create things, and I said this before, like on my TikTok, we've created a makeup brush, we've created a makeup line, we've created a book, we've created that. We are the creator, so our creation has to follow suit on what we want, right? The same thing with God. Like, he's our Father, he's our creator, but we just think that our parents, it's like the same thing as our parents.
Right.
There's our parents, so we have to follow suit to what they say, and sometimes we don't. No, they created us, but they are again, what I've been saying, they are the resource, not the source. So the source is our creator, which is our Father, and we have to, why are you looking at me like that?
No, I'm just listening.
I was like, oh, she on eyeliner. She like, girl, let me concentrate.
That's why I pulled out the other one, because that one ain't doing it. I need to be up close with this one.
Oh yeah, but eyeliner, you gotta be close, because you poke your whole eye out.
Right.
So yes, I lost my train of thought, but we just have to be diligent on like hearing. We hear our parents, or our parents are sometimes there, or our parents could be non-existent. Mm-hmm. So my father was non-existent, and I remember going through a time where on, Father's Day, I'm like, dang, I was so hurt and so angry all the time. And when I really said, you know what, I have a heavenly Father. I don't know what made me think about that. And this was like the first, I think this was like the first year. I've always known about God, but this is like the first year I dedicated myself and was like, okay, I'm gonna follow him, right?
Right.
So I said, I have a heavenly Father. I need to know more about him. And even back then, I wasn't even in the Word. I think the only word I read, and I'll be completely honest, was Psalms. Mm-hmm. I done read every time
chapter in Psalms.
I read every Psalms there is. Isn't there like 200 and something Psalms or something like that? Because it was in the middle of the Bible, I said, you know what, let me open it up. And every time I was scared, every time something would happen, every time a tribulation would happen, I would just open up a Psalms. Mm-hmm. That was like my thing. But that was the only thing that I had to reference my father, knowing that there are so many other books to understand him. And I just know that now. And that was back in 2010.
Oh, wow.
So we have a lot more growing to do, because we still don't even understand the Father or have that relationship. And I feel like I have like a loving relationship with him, but I need to know more about him. Just like our earthly parents, if we do have them, that's how close and connected we should be with the Lord. And I don't know, that just like downloaded in my whole spirit. I don't know why I started talking about parenting, because God knows me as a parent myself. I'm gonna be like, take it back up to the Lord. Did the Lord say that? Because right now I need the Lord's advice to this. Lord, you gonna help me raise this child.
Just think about how we when you pray over your food. We can, and especially when people be like, oh, they drop something on the floor, Lord bless this food, I don't know where it's been, I don't know about these people's hands in the kitchen and all that stuff. We're asking for him to cover us all the time. So why not ask him to cover us? Why not ask him for his permission? Why not ask him for his word before we proceed in doing anything else?
Well, that's what happened when I was praying this morning. It was literally it said don't think about prayer, just do prayer. Prayer should be just like breathing. Us talking about God should just be just what we're doing right now. If we're getting ready to go out, if we're talking to our girlfriend, it should just be like breathing. So prayer should just be breathing. Even before us doing this, we should pray. Hey, Lord, make sure that the camera doesn't die. Make sure that this